Hi everybody, it's Maria from the Easy Pantry. Today we are going to make a baked penne with Italian sausage. Alright, so all of our ingredients are out on the counter and we have two pots that we're using today. We're going to be using a large saucepan to cook our pasta in. Now I already have water on in that and I'm going to turn it on high. Alright, I have a saute pan for cooking my sausage and also sauteing some vegetables. Over here, I have a colander and a bowl to drain the pasta. Now you could just drain it in the sink, have the colander in the sink to drain the pasta. And we are going to be baking it in a 9 by 13 Pyrex dish. Okay, now I have my oven preheating to 400 degrees to cook this. And I have an extra bowl out because we're going to start off by mixing our ricotta cheese and our mozzarella cheese together so that they warm up to room temperature. Alright, so open that ricotta cheese, peel it off. Now ricotta cheese is a cheese that's made from the leftovers of milk after making cheese. And it's a soft cheese that has a small curd. So it's a lot like cottage cheese, but it's a very small curd. So scoop that, plop it right into your bowl. And squish it up a little bit. Set the trash to the side. And open your bag of mozzarella and pour it in. Now the Easy Pantry gives you grated mozzarella because it's a really moist cheese and it's hard to grate. So we want to have that prepared for you to make it nice and easy for you to put a recipe together. Alright, what I'm doing now is mixing the ricotta and the mozzarella together so that they form a nice creamy mixture that we're going to layer with our pasta and sauce. Alright. So those are nice and mixed together. Now all we have to do with that is set it to the side and let it warm up while we do everything else. Okay, so my pasta water is heating. I'm going to throw a little salt into it. Salt lowers the boiling point of the water. It makes it boil a little faster and it salts the cooking pasta. Alright. So, first of all, I'm going to get my sausage cooking. I'm going to turn the pan on medium-high and open the sausage container. Alright, just plop that meat right into your pan. But make sure you peel off any piece of packaging that's on the bottom of the meat. Set that to the side, and I'm just going to chop this up and spread it out all over my pan so it starts cooking right away. Italian sausage has lots of really yummy spices in there. It flavors the whole dish. It also has just a little bit of heat to add a little more flavor as well. All right. So while that's heating up, I'm going to turn that on high, a little bit higher. All right, I'm going to set that to the side, and I'm going to prepare my onions and garlic and zucchini because we're going to saute them after we cook the sausage. All right, we have an onion. As always, I cut off the ends of the onion first. And then slip any loose skin off. And what I do is I score down the side of the onion and then take off that top layer so that I don't have to worry about picking the skin off for a long time. It can take a long time to get all of that off otherwise. Okay, I'm going to put that in my compost bowl. Now what I do is cut the onion from head to toe. Boom. Set one side, one half to the side, take the other half and put it flat down. When you're cutting, you always want that onion face down so that you have a nice solid surface to work on. I'm going to just cut it along the lines. They're lines that run on the onion. I'm just going to cut it along those lines generally, and then crosswise. Do the same for the other half of the onion. Now, all these cutting things might take a while for you to learn, but just keep cutting. It's worth it. It won't take much time after you get your hand. Cutting an onion is the most basic thing you'll do in every recipe you cook. So once you learn to cut an onion, you'll have a lot of knife dexterity to work with. All right, I'm going to give my sausage a good stir. It's starting to heat up and cook here. Oh, my eyes are watering from the onions. Sometimes I really cry when I cut onions because they really affect me. Different people have different tricks for minimizing that. Some people say if you rinse them under running cool water after you take off that outer skin, that they don't have any effect on you. So you can try that out if you want. See how my sausage browns up really quickly like that? Cooking nicely. Good high heat. My pasta water is almost boiling. But I think we have time to chop up the garlic before we put the pasta in the pot. Right, let's let that sausage cook a little bit more. And let's dice our garlic. So I have 3 cloves of garlic. One at a time, I'm going to put them on the cutting board. And keeping my hand flat and the blade of the knife flat, I'm going to crush that clove of garlic. Set it aside, crush the other one. All right, once they're crushed, that outer skin comes right off. I'm going right in the compost. Really sizzling here. I'm going to turn this down just a little bit and give it another stir. I can smell all the herbs in the sausage as it cooks. It smells really good. All right, let's get back to our garlic. Now, my garlic is in one bunch here. I'm going to cut it exactly like I did the onion, except on a smaller level. Cut it into longer strips, like this. Now, if you have a garlic press, just use your garlic press. It's a lot easier than this. But if you don't, we're just going to chop it up in small bits. All right. Now, I want to get the garlic a little bit more fine, so I'm going to ground the tip of my knife into the cutting board. And then using the flat of my hand just to keep it there, I'm just going to bounce the knife up and down to dice the garlic a little bit more finely. Scrape it together and do some more dicing. Scoot that to the side. We're not going to scoot it in with the onions, but just to the side. All right, back to stirring my sausage. All right, the sausage is cooking nicely. Let's add the pasta and get that cooking. It only takes a few minutes for pasta to cook. All right, we're going to be putting a whole pound of pasta in this recipe. So just take the pasta and dump it into that boiling pot of water. There we go. And we're going to give it a stir. All right. And once it comes back to a boil, we're going to boil the pasta for about 8 to 10 minutes. All right, keep chopping up that keep chopping up that sausage and stirring it. I personally like small bits of sausage and everything, so I like to chop it up a lot. You can do it to whatever your preference is. All right, now the sausage is cooking. The pasta is back at a boil, almost. Be there in just a second. Give it another stir. When the noodles initially start cooking, they stick together. So just give them a stir to separate them again. Okay, let's chop up our zucchini quickly. We're gonna take both of the ends off, toss them in the compost, and we're gonna quarter our zucchini lengthwise. Cut it in half. Remember, keep that flat surface down when you're cutting. Cut that one in half. And the other half in half. All right, now we want our zucchini to be there in a minimal form. We want it to hide away so that any kid who might not be so fond of vegetables will get some zucchini in their diet. It's not so bad. So let's just chop this very finely into pieces. We're going to saute it with the onion and garlic. It will soak up the flavor of the onion and garlic and add a little greenness and vegetable to our baked penne. All right, almost there. My sausage is almost done. I can smell it. Okay, don't cough your fingertips at the end there. We have everything ready. The sausage is almost done. Chop up the last bits there. All right, now I'm just going to turn off that sausage pan. Don't want to get it over browned and too crispy. Okay, our pasta is done and it's time to drain it. We're just going to turn it off. Oh, I need a hot pad for that. And we're going to pour it into the colander. Now you can do this over your sink, and when you do that, turn on the cold water so it's running at the same time. Won't be so hard on your pipes. All right. Now we're just going to drain that pasta out, all the water, and pour it back into our pot. Whoops. A little extra fell out. There we go. Okay, now into that pot, we're going to put our sausage. Now it's okay if there are a few little bits left in your sausage pan because we're going to saute the onions and garlic and zucchini in the same pan. Okay, so the pasta and sausage are in the pot. And we are going to add our canned tomatoes and our tomato sauce to that pasta and sausage mixture. So go ahead and open your cans. And we have whole tomatoes that we're going to be using. We like to crush those up. A whole tomato has lots of flavor. It's still inside it and it hasn't been disturbed at all since it was picked. So go ahead and open your can of whole tomatoes, and we're going to mash those up a little bit. Okay, so using a wooden spoon, you can use a fork or anything you like. Just cut up those tomatoes a little bit inside the can. Another thing I also like to do is just, as I pour them into the pot, squish them up with my hand. There's nothing wrong with that. All right, I'm going to go ahead and pour them in with the sausage and the penne. Give it a nice scrape. Get all that sauce out of there. Yummy. Okay. Now I'm going to add the tomato sauce as well. All right. Delicious. We're going to stir all of that together. And you can continue, if there's some big chunks of tomato left, just give them a little chop up with your spatula. Okay. I'm going to turn my saute pan back on high. And I am going to cook the rest of the vegetables. And I'm going to add a little olive oil to the pan. Just a splash or so. It'll be enough. And I'm going to start off by cooking the onions. Sprinkle them into your pan, separating those chunks of onion. If they're separated, then they'll cook really quickly. Oh, I got a little zucchini in there. That'll be fine. So just stir that around and they'll start cooking and sizzling in the pan with the oil. The little bits of sausage that are in there and the little bit of sausage grease that's left, all that flavor from the sausage will be picked up by cooking the onions and the garlic and the zucchini in the same pan. So we're not missing out on any flavor. Alright, starting to sizzle there. These will cook really high, really quickly over the high heat. Now, make sure you grab your spice packet as well, because these spices are going to be mixed in with the onions and garlic as soon as they're cooked. And the spices are traditional Italian herbs like oregano and basil, a little salt and pepper added too. Alright, now onions are cooked when they become translucent. So when you have one little piece of onion sitting in your pan, it will look a little bit clear when it's cooked. Once they start looking clear, we're going to add the garlic. Now we never like to cook garlic for very long because it loses its flavor and becomes actually a little bitter if you overcook it in the pan. So when we add our garlic here, we're just going to add it and let it saute there for a few minutes, or a few seconds actually. I'm going to add my garlic. You can smell the garlic right away. It smells so good. A few quick stirs like that. That's all you need for the garlic. Now, into that, we're going to add our spices. The high heat here will immediately bring out the flavor of the basil and oregano. Mix that with the onions. It smells delicious. Okay. Let's add our zucchini and give it a quick saute. salt that's mixed in with the spices draws the juices out of the zucchini and helps it cook faster. Now the key with a sauté is cooking something over a high heat, but you have to continue stirring it constantly or else it will burn. Zucchini is such a soft vegetable, I don't want to overcook it for this recipe because as we bake it, it will cook a little bit more. All right. I'm going to stir it a few more times here, and we're going to call it done. You can taste test it. You still want there to be crunch in there, so you just want it to be hot through and through. All right. Turn it off, and I'm going to do the same thing. Oh, the handle's hot. I'm going to add it to the pot of pasta and sauce. Now this is important right here. We want to stir those vegetables and onions and garlic in really well because they're mixed in with the spices. We want those spices to go through the whole pasta dish. Dig deep. Make sure you get all of it mixed in. All right. Now it's mixed in really well. And we're going to put everything into our casserole dish. So let's bring our casserole dish right in front of us into an easy working space. Get out the cheese that's been warming up. And we have our pasta ready. So we're going to layer this. We're going to start off with a layer of pasta. I'm going to scoot it over so I can just pour it right into my pan. It's a heavy pot. All right, let's spread that around. I'm going to finish just adding a little bit more on there. Okay, now we're going to take a little of our cheese mixture and just dollop it on top of the pasta. I like to make sure I get enough right in the corners because sometimes those corner pieces miss out on having enough cheese. You ever have been served a corner piece of lasagna and it doesn't have enough cheese in the corner? It's very disappointing. Okay. So we're going to be using about half of that cheese mixture. Put a little bit more here. A little more here. Okay. Now, we're going to add a little more penne. Spread it over the cheese dollops. And add the rest of the cheese. This is like a lot of Italian dishes. Lasagna is a layered dish. Even things like ravioli are a layered type of dish with pasta. So add all of that cheese mixture in there. Yummy. All right, and finish topping it with the rest of the penne. All right, look at that. Now I have a little cheese on the side. I'm going to top this off with. A little bubbly cheese on top goes a long way. All right, let's throw this into our 400-degree oven, and then we can just go set the table and play with the kids, or check Facebook for a while. But we're going to bake that in the oven for 20 to 30 minutes, and then it's ready to serve. All right, you have Italian sausage penne baked in the oven, ready to go in just a little bit. All right, let's take our penne out of the oven. It's had time to let that cheese melt. Yummy, look at that. Close the oven and turn it off. Never leave your oven on, you'll forget it. Okay, let's serve this. It's all juicy with all that sauce. Whoop, there's a tomato. All right, look at that. You have all the cheesy layering with the meat and the pasta. Dig in.